Hi friends, welcome back. So want to have a chat with you about a big deal that was just made in the finance world slash credit card slash banking. You can see this here, Capital One to buy Discover Financial and 35 billion stock deal. Now what's really interesting about this is because when the news first popped up, and I was going to do a video a couple hours ago, it just said it was a rumor. And then all of a sudden, 2 hours later, after the articles came out that it was a rumor, now it turned out to be true. So it is kind of funny how quickly things get leaked, and then they're like, okay, fine, the cat's out of the bag. Let's just go ahead and do it. This is Capital One. They're up 26% in the past year. Discover's up 1%. You guys can see that for yourself. And it has a market. So Discover here has a market cap of 27 billion around, and then they're saying the stock deal is 35 billion. So that's pretty interesting. And that's a 26.6% premium over a closing price on February 16th. This is saying here, I want to go through some of the details of this stuff. The deal brings together two storied consumer finance brands, a combination that will surpass, is what they say, surpass longtime rivals JP Morgan and Chase and Citigroup by U.S. credit card loan volume. And that's according to Bloomberg. And then they're saying here, Capital One holders will own about 60% of the combined company, and Discover owners will hold about 40%, according to the statement. So that's kind of crazy in itself. There's a lot to talk about with this stuff. And I want to preface this with, I'm not sponsored by any of these credit card companies, because I have to mention that if you, flip on around the channels on YouTube when you talk about credit card stuff, a lot of these people are sponsored by said company and pushing said card. So do always be aware of these kind of things. There's a lot of money in this stuff. I don't know how much credit card influencers, make. I'll just say there's a lot of money in this stuff. Moreover, they talking about Capital One here. They pay like people like Jennifer Garner or Samuel Jackson, that kind of stuff. And Capital One was always known for having really cool commercials, the What's in Your Wallet ones. And I remember seeing them during the Super Bowl. So they pay quite a bit of money. And evidently they've been acquiring other companies slash businesses. They got this Velocity Black thing. And if you guys know what that is, you can please chime in. I haven't messed with this myself. It's called Velocity Black, and it's some sort of concierge service. So they are, they got this, I think in the past, what was it? There's a date on this, June 1st, 2023. And then I think they're trying to compete with American Express, essentially. It says here, this is coming from Capital One. Capital One acquires digital concierge Velocity Bank. And then it says, leading digital concierge company that delivers travel, entertainment, shopping, and dining offerings to consumers. Velocity Black has a built customer experience. Its proprietary platform deploys cutting-edge technology and human experts to offer inspiration, recommendation, and fulfillment in one place, making it an integral part of customers' lives. So it's interesting because when you think about like how these things work, just think about the power of, suggestion or influence. I want to say it's like, hey, thank you for using our card, and please shop at this place, or thank you for using our card, please go to this hotel. Thanks for using the card. We have benefits at this, location, etc. This is part of how our financial world works, right? A lot of deals are made, right? There's always money being passed around, of course. The other thing too I want to mention is I guess Discover was in trouble with compliance problems for a while, actually. I was reading through stuff, and it's actually fairly complicated, to be perfectly frank. They were saying something like since, it was like way back, since like 2007, I want to say. It was something like that. It was like a long time. And trust me, guys, there was a lot of stuff to look through with this thing. And this was an order from the SEC on September 25th, 2023. And I'll kind of go through this. And for those of you who are in compliance, because we do have some people in the channel that are in this stuff, you probably have more to say about these things than myself, but I'll just go through it. It says here, Discovered noted potentially monetary penalties from the FDIC and other regulators over card product misclassification. So I guess that was the charge. Card product misclassification allegations disclosed in August are still pending. Okay, so I guess that's still going on. I thought they said that they weren't going to pay the fine. Yeah, right here. This was another point. This is an updated version of it. On October 4th, it says Discover dodges fine and FTC orders over consumer compliance shortcomings. It's like, okay. And it's kind of funny. Well, I mean, how do I look at it? I have an odd sense of humor. But they have these compliance issues, and now they're getting bought out by Capital One. So, who knows? But it says here, like here on September 5th, Discover announced the appointment of Kathy Lowanowski, former FDIC San Francisco regional director. So they hired someone to like try to get him back into compliance, I guess. The order requires certain undertakings by the board. One, clearly communicating compliance and ethics expectations. So I guess they didn't have any. Who knows? Ensuring the bank establishes and maintains proactive and effective risk and governance frameworks and compliance programs. Staffing one or more compliance officers. So I guess they need to get more people in compliance. Documenting robust consumer compliance related discussions and ensuring the bank's internal audit is appropriate for their size. I thought that was an interesting one because it basically means like, let's say you tell regulators, oh yeah, we audit ourselves, and you hire one person to do it, right? There's no way one person could actually, go through everything. So, you want to have auditors proportionate to the size of your business. And then the other thing I want to mention too is, overall, I'm against this kind of thing. So say like this, for example, this says a list of major credit card issuers and networks, and this would be in the USA. So, in the picture, MasterCard, Visa, American Express. And I was just kind of looking, and it just has these four, right? So does the Discover brand disappear? That'll be interesting. I would think maybe not. Maybe, I don't know. I'm not sure what they do. There was no statement on that. Because like you could have a Capital One / Discover card, but I think people might get confused on that kind of thing. The other thing too I want to mention is this gave out different numbers than, but I guess this is from 2022 than what say Bloomberg said. I'll just read it here. According to the Nielsen report, these were the biggest U.S. credit card companies in 2022. The credit cards together range up to 4 trillion in transactions that year. So Chase, according to these numbers, is 1.14 trillion, American Express 1.03 trillion, and then you have Citi at 563 billion, Capital One at 534 billion, Bank of America at 480, and then Discover at 210, U.S. Bank at 190, and Wells Fargo at 171. So if you have Capital One, essentially the number 4, buying the number 6, you do the math there, puts it in the top. So when let's read the statement by Bloomberg. They said something a little bit different. They said here, the deal brings two storied consumer finance brands, a combination that will surpass the rivals JP Morgan and Citibank by U.S. credit card loan volume. So I guess it depends if are you looking at number of transactions, like how many are you doing, or are you looking at total amounts of dollars? The reason why then American Express would be higher because they tend to have a higher, more higher end consumer. Same with the Chase card. So I think that's probably the discrepancy there. Overall, I'm uncomfortable when, again, the consolidation of this kind of stuff. I'll give you a couple of reasons why. One would be you don't necessarily want one person or one entity controlling the whole system. It's just not healthy. The other one would be when you remove competition, it's just your basic monopoly stuff. Would that mean then that card companies would give out less points and less incentives, because there's less competition? You could make the case, though. I'll just be fair. You could make the case that maybe Chase and American Express own the sort of upper echelon of credit card offerings, etc. And then this new player, the Capital One / Discover, is going to compete in that space, hence buying the Velocity Bank. So you can make the case that, hey, Chris, no, you're wrong. It's going to be more competition now, to challenge the two leaders. But overall, I'm uncomfortable with any of these kind of big multi-billion, like literally is multi-billion, $35 billion deals. The other thing too I want to mention with this stuff is we do actually have other systems in play that you may not have heard of, and I'll mention just a couple. So one is actually Union Pay. So this is Chinese based. I'm trying to remember if I've seen this symbol that much in the USA, and you guys can let me know if you have. I'm just saying in Asia you'll see it quite a bit. So there is an alternative out there to Visa or MasterCard or American Express or Discover, to be fair. We don't use Discover here in Korea. The Bitcoin thing, you could make the case. I just use Bitcoin as a placeholder, but you can make the case that crypto or other things are going to rise up and challenge the current financial network. And I always know that people always talk about that stuff because it's an interesting thing to mention. But I think my personal opinion on this stuff, I think it's going to be hard to displace our current contenders. However, who knows? Maybe there'll be a point in our system to where all the big banks end up merging into just a few big banks, and then it becomes way too monopoly, and then the crypto people even have more argument of why we need to have a different kind of system. So that is not controlled by the man. So anyway, that's my thoughts on this one. I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts on these things of what do you think about Capital One buying Discover. And good thing, bad thing. Do you think it'll get approved? Because they just announced it. There's always a chance these things don't get approved. Like for example, the last big merger we talked about on this channel, I think was like the grocery store one, the Kroger stuff. And I'm trying to think if there's any other big ones. If like, Walmart's talking about buying. Oh, you know what? I do remember the one. Like recently there was a one. There was the Amazon trying to buy the iRobot, and I think that got like shot down in Europe or something like that. So you do hear about these big ones every now and then, but just to date, this is the biggest one this year. And like I said, the dates they gave was like it would occur late 2024, early 2025. I think that's what I was reading with that. So anyway, that's my thoughts on this stuff. Love to hear your thoughts. And I think the key questions are going to be, is this good overall for the consumer or not good overall for the consumer? Please share your thoughts, and I'll catch you next video.